Students at Perry Hall High School went back to school one day after a student opened fire in the cafeteria, shooting another student. The principal said it was important to let the students get back to their routine and a sense of normalcy. But after a situation like this, where students are scrambling to escape gunfire in a place that should be safe, how do you get back to normal? For today's Take Action Thursday, Jeff Richardson with the Mental Health Association of Maryland joins us with some tips for helping you to get your child through trauma like this. Good morning.
Good morning.
You were just saying it's far too often that we're talking about things like this, which
sure
is it's a shame. In this situation, we're hearing that at least 30 students have sought counseling because of what happened. What are they likely to be feeling after a situation like this?
Well, you know, after a traumatic event, and again in Baltimore, every day we have many of our children who experience a number of traumatic events, along with ones that don't get the same news coverage of these kind of events. I think every child experiences trauma differently, and you know, frankly, after an event like this, some of the experiences that children will have will take time.
Okay.
But some of it ranges from everything from a sheer terror, a fear of going back to school, inability to sleep, inability to focus, difficulty with physical complaints, really hypervigilance, like being constantly on alert, and just sheer anxiety.
That's interesting, though. You said even physical. It can manifest in physical ways in your body, aches and pains kinds of things.
It sure can. I mean, I think a lot of times, you know, teenagers in particular are at a point in their lives where they're not always telling us what they're feeling, but it comes out in many ways.
And you said it doesn't always have to happen right now. Students may not feel a need to talk about it right now or feel the trauma from it now. It could manifest later.
Yes, and I think that's one of the ongoing concerns around an event like this. Trauma and how kids and all of us experience traumas very differently. If it continues, and you know, some of these behaviors are absolutely normal, and the experiences with a traumatic event after something like this happens is very common to have those feelings, to be anxious, to be terrified about all these things. But if it continues and continues to prevent the child from being focused on school, doing normal day-to-day functions, it can come up in other ways. It also comes up around anniversaries of specific events. There's all kinds of triggers that can make this worse.
So what do the adults in their lives do for them? Their teachers, their principals, their parents?
I think what you just described is everybody needs to be involved in this. And I think keep an eye on if it's your kid, keep an eye on any unusual changes in their behavior, experiences that they're having that are unusual, any of the things that we just talked about. I think families need to be in contact with the schools. The schools also, I'm sure, have done an excellent job about identifying counselors to be available, but they need to be constantly vigilant about seeing kids that are having extraordinary difficulty staying focused in school and exhibiting any of these things we just talked about.
All right, Jeff, we're going to get you to stick around and answer some questions from our viewers, some of the parents out there who may be wondering, what do we do? So after the break, Jeff is going to answer your calls about helping kids through traumatic situations and hopefully feeling safe in schools again. If you do have a question, our phone lines are open now at 410-481-4545. You can also send us a tweet at Fox Baltimore or go through our Facebook page. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning. We're back with Jeff Richardson with the Mental Health Association of Maryland, and he's taking your calls about helping kids through traumatic situations for our Take Action Thursday. So if you have a question, our phone lines are open at 410-481-4545. Of course, you can send us a tweet at Fox Baltimore or go through our Facebook page. And before we get to our Facebook page, let me ask you, we're talking about this shooting incident, but trauma comes in it's caused by a lot of different things.
It's in a lot of events. Any sense of violence or experience of violence can create a traumatic experience in our children. We talk about shootings, but any kind of violence is something that can trigger this kind of reaction.
And you were saying we see a lot of that, unfortunately, in our area sometimes.
We sure do.
So. All right, well, let's go to our Facebook page and see what people are saying. Aaron says, how do you stop worrying about it?
Yeah, that's a great question, Aaron. I mean, I think there's a number of things that you need to do. First and foremost, talk to someone about this. I think there's too many times that we hold this stuff in and we don't speak to people who can help us. Seek out one of the counselors in your school, and if not, there's a number of mental health professionals in the community that can help. My organization, Mosaic Community Services, or go directly through the Mental Health Association of Maryland's website. And in fact, there's a wonderful resource that I would urge all families and kids and anyone listening to go to, which is called childrensmentalhealthmatters.org. And again, if you can't go directly to that, go through the Mental Health Association of Maryland's website.
All right, let's go to the phone lines. Brandy in Baltimore is on the phone. Good morning, Brandy.
Good morning.
What's your question?
I just want to know how do I, assess my son, he's 9, and to cope with his grandmother's death.
Again, my deepest regrets to you and your family. I'm so sorry to hear that. I think it's very important to try and talk to him if you can, ask him how he's feeling, help him talk about what it means to experience this death, how he's feeling about it, talk about memories, experiences, both positive experiences he's had, and if he's still having difficulty, reach out to a mental health professional in your community who can help. Grieving is a very difficult process, and again, with trauma in general too, none of this stuff happens and gets resolved quickly. It takes time.
Are there times that you don't want to push them to talk, that it's better for them to come to you when they're ready, or do you always want to kind of instigate some kind of dialogue?
I think people are going to know their children best, but I think always be vigilant in terms of paying attention, letting your children know that you're there to listen, and you're there, you love them, you support them, and you'll be ready when they're ready. I think that's a great point. I think sort of always saying, can I help you in any way is going to shut down folks, and I think it's important to keep that open.
All right, Jeff, thank you so much. Great advice, and good luck to all of you dealing with your own situations out there.